So you want me to tell you about Brazil and the experiences I had? Okay. I went to Brazil to meet Claudia Maximino. She is the president of the Brazilian organization. And she told us that in Brazil they speak of 3 different generations of thalidomidis. The first generation is the same as we are, which is they were born between 57 and actually up to 65, 64, 65, because though the drug was taken off the market, it took a long time till it really got out of the society. And then in the middle of the 60s, they introduced the drug again as a very good and cheap medication against leprosy. And so they started, though they had introduced something like a risk management together with, I think first it was Grünenthal and later on they produced a drug themselves in the country. They had introduced a risk management system to make sure that there were not so many babies born with a disability, but or the deformities, and still it didn't work because many of the Brazilians who have leprosy are those who live in the slums, and this is where most of or many of the people can't read and write, and therefore, of course, it doesn't make a lot of sense when you have a written document in the package which says you should take it when you are pregnant. And though the doctors were told to give the information, it seemingly didn't work, so they started a big campaign in the middle of the 90s to get the information to the population about the danger of the drug and what happens. And they changed the package of the drug, and now it shows just a head of a woman crossed out, which means women shouldn't take it at all, the medication. Before there was a little picture there showing a pregnant woman, but many women misunderstood that. They thought it was either to abort or it was to make sure that they didn't get pregnant at all. And of course, this wasn't what it meant to be. And so the second generation ends by 97. And during that time, there were a few hundred. I only know that there were more than 600 of, I think, officially acknowledged. And then, since 97, there were only very, very few cases. They were more like accidents, more or less. Like we met a mother with a 16-month-old baby, and she didn't know that she was pregnant, and she wasn't feeling well, headaches, and she was sick, and so she got pills from all over the place, from herself. When she was riding the bus, somebody gave pills to her, and she took whatever she took. And but these are very rare cases, luckily. And what they did do is the Brazilian state pays those acknowledged thalidomidis pension. This pension ranges between 400 and I think it was 60 real up to 1800 reals. They have a point system where they say, okay, when you've got 1 point, you get the minimum amount, and 7 points is the highest amount. 1 point is worth 1 minimum, officially stated minimum wage in Brazil. The 1800 real equal roughly 700 euros, which is more than we get in Germany. Now we hopefully will get more in the summer, but at the moment it is definitely about 40% more than what we get in Germany.
And what about Germany? The reintroduction of the drug, has it been reintroduced for like in Spain for cancer of the bone?
Yes, it has, but it's under very strict conditions, which means they are watched. The people who take that drug, the women who take the drug, are very, very strictly watched, which means they have to make a pregnancy test every 4 weeks just to make sure that they didn't get pregnant. Then there's the document in the package which states, and it's very hard to overlook that, because it's in a red box. It states that there is a danger when you get pregnant when you take the drug, even after you finish taking it for a certain number of months till it gets out of the system. And it also says when a man takes it, he must make sure that during he's taking the drug, up to 3 months after he stopped taking the drug, he has to only have protected sex, for example. Yeah, just to make sure that it doesn't get into the woman's system he's with at the moment.
Because it can be carried through the sperm.
Yes.
And do they make them sign any kind of, because as what Pepe told me in Spain, if anybody is under treatment, they have to sign like a contract that they swear that they will use 2 methods of contraceptive, to sort of making sure that the...
I can't tell you, I don't know. No. I can't tell you. I only know because I've seen the document which goes in the package. I've seen it, but I can't tell you whether they have to sign a paper which says I make sure that I don't get pregnant in the time. But I definitely know that they have this pregnancy test every 4 weeks.
Well, that seems like a good, because I don't know what your opinion is, but I mean, I'm speaking to several people. They say, you know, about, do you think that the drug should be completely removed from the market in general? And then some people say, well, if you take it away, then it'll be sold in the black market, which is even more dangerous.
Yes, that's true, because then it is not in a controlled environment. Yeah, I'm of 2 minds actually. On the one hand, I would like to get the drug out of everywhere.
Circulation.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I know that at the moment thalidomide is just regarding, for example, for leprosy, it's the cheapest way to help these people. And when you have an expensive drug, you can bet that it wouldn't end up in the slums in Brazil, because this Brazilian state, even if the Brazilian state could afford it, but they wouldn't want to pay that money. Yeah, and it's so cheap to produce the thalidomide drug. There is even in the pharmacy web, there's a recipe to make it, so you can just make it in a pharmacy. It's not complicated. Yeah, so I think as long as there are so many illnesses you may use it against. Yeah.
Does it cure leprosy completely, or what exactly?
As far as I know, what it does exactly is it stops new blood vessels from growing, and it harms the existing blood vessels. And this is also the reason why it works with multiple myeloma. Yeah. But this drug they still not know completely what it does and what it doesn't do. Yeah, because 10 years ago there was a big hype. Everybody thought it's great to help within the treatment of AIDS, and now they found it isn't like that. And I know from Claudia from Brazil that at the moment they are trying to introduce the drug into the market for more different treatments, and they've got a whole list what they think it works against. Yeah, and she is very afraid that when they do that, it will get all out of proportion. Yeah, and there will be a lot more new thalidomiders born again, because they have the problem that in Brazil so many people can't read and write properly.
Well, I mean, Pepe told me that people that are being treated for myeloma, when they stop taking, they start suffering whilst they're on the drug. They suffer a lot of all sorts of different side effects, like the tingling of the fingers.
When they stop?
No, whilst they're taking it.
I was just going to say, because this is one of the known side effects, polyneuritis. And this was one of the side effects which appeared before the deformed babies were born. And this is one of the things why I think is Grünenthal definitely to blame, that they didn't take it off the market when this information came to them. And they got the information long before they took the drug off the market.
Pepe asked me to ask you yesterday, I mean, if you think, in cases, I mean, this could probably be off the camera, si paras un segundo, if you think in cases...
actually there were two people we always speak of from the ICTA. There's one is Otto Ambros, who was on the board of Grünenthal, and he was also on the board of the IG Farben, who was responsible for the tests done in Auschwitz. And Dr. Mückter was a doctor there, and he did tests beside the others, the chemical things. He did also tests for the typhus part, like putting the insects on the people to produce the active antivirus by infecting them first and then getting their blood as a...
With nets and...
Yeah.
Okay, so then how was the drug elaborated from because it wasn't it wasn't the drug that was then used for morning sickness. It wasn't 100% the same drug at that time.
No, it is the thing with calming and morning sickness side effects for the thalidomide. Actually, what were they looking for? Let me think. They were looking for a completely different reason for the drug. Forgot. Only by chance they found out when they gave the drug to mice that it had a calming side effect. And so they decided to bring it into the market as a calming drug. Yeah? And then they thought, just tell that it is good for pregnant or mothers to be as well when they are anxious and when they have the morning sickness. And what they did is, let me think, what was it? These tests with the mice could never be reproduced again, so it was only by the word of Grünenthal it worked that way. And the thing why Grünenthal thought, or why they said it is good for pregnant mothers, is because there was a doctor who gave the drug to mothers, but he only used it shortly before the babies were born or after birth. And what Grünenthal did is they just took these results where there wasn't written in it that it was good for the first part of the pregnancy, but they took the results and said it's good for mothers. Yeah. But when you want to get more of that information, you should really try to get hold of the book Thalidomide or the Power of the Drug Companies, because it's all written in there.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a good background information, because this book is based on all the documents they confiscated at Grünenthal for the process.
Right. Okay. Because I know that there's the book on the Australian. I can't remember the word. People that do X-rays, radio. It's an Australian lady. I don't know if you've seen her book, Janet McCready.
I have it at home, but I haven't read it yet. Yeah,
I mean,
because she has a completely different idea how it came to be that the deformities came into being. Yeah, because she says it starts all with the nerves.
Yeah.
And this is, for me, it's very understandable, because thalidomide is a nerve drug. It is developed out of a nerve gas, and it is a nerve drug. And this is also the reason why it has the side effect of the polyneuritis, yeah, because it works on the nerves. And I know when we're getting older now, many of the thalidomiders I know have nerve problems. Not the tingling, but shooting pain. For example, one of my friends from Germany, she's taking morphine because she can't stand the pain anymore.
In her spine, in her neck, or
especially in one of her arms.
But that couldn't be for misuse of.
No. This is what the doctors tested before. They tested everything. They couldn't find anything. So it has to be really something with the nerves themselves. And she tried various painkillers and nothing worked. So she decided, or her doctor decided, we have to try morphine.
So she's on daily morphine?
Yeah.
So she's probably incapable of doing a lot?
as far as I understood her, the doses is in that way that when she takes it for a certain number of weeks, she'll get used to it, yeah, which means she will still be able to drive and she won't be overtired all the time and this type of thing. But still, I think it's hard just to think about that you have to be on such a hard drug all the time.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible, because eventually, as you say, not only she'll get used to it, it won't.
You have to increase
it won't kill the pain.
Yeah, I know. And it also has very bad side effects. It has side effects like she has to take something that she can go to the toilet, and on the other hand, she can't get out of the house because there are other side effects where she has to have a toilet available just next to her, more or less. Yeah. So it's really bad.
It's a nightmare.
And I think this will be getting worse. Like luckily I don't have permanent shooting pain, but for the last 3 years I'm getting problems with my arms as well. Like when I sit a longer time, I always have to have an armrest. Otherwise, my arm is starting to hurt, and it's
Your
not
shoulder,
very nice.
or
No, it's actually the upper arm. And the thalidomide doctor in Germany, Dr. Graf, said it's because our shoulder joints aren't really joints. It's more like here's the joint and there's the bone and there's a piece in between where there isn't a connection. So it's all done now by muscles and sinews, and when we're getting older, they're not so good anymore. Yeah.
wearing away. And do you have to have a certain amount of massages or physiotherapy to improve your...
Yes, it's better then, but the problem there is at the moment that, at least in Germany, we have a regulation regarding this physiotherapy, and a doctor is only allowed to prescribe a certain amount per quarter. Yeah. And when you've had too much, like when you have a massage twice a week, and the prescription is usually for 6 massagers, which means after 3 weeks it's gone, and then you go back to the doctor, and when you're lucky you get 1 or 2 more, and then that's it.
Is this for financial reasons?
Yeah.
So if you want
There's
more,
an
you can
agreement
have
with the
them on your
health
own.
insurance. I have to pay it myself, or I have to find a different doctor.